yeah, great. Finally, I can say yes to everything.
Oh, can I guess?
Do it.
Saturn.
No.
Hi everybody, welcome to Tidalwave Afterwork, our weekly podcast about music production and a lot of stuff.
Other stuff. Yeah.
Around music production.
As always, for those of you who don't know, this is Public Damiani.
Hi, this is Marc Maurer. We are both audio engineers, music producers, and I have 25 years of experience working as such. He has around 15 years, so that makes 40 years combined.
For those of you who have watched the podcast before, normally we start this just by answering questions, which is still the format that we are doing.
Yeah, we love answering questions.
You can send us questions anytime. But we talked about the whole format of this podcast a little bit more. And we always thought there's so many great topics about music and music production, but they are always related to more worldly stuff, everyday stuff, life, philosophy, anything.
There's always so many similarities between what we are doing every day and every other job or situation in life, problem solving and
yes.
Yeah, we wanted somehow to incorporate all these thoughts into both of us talking about stuff and sharing the thoughts.
And the way to start this is that we actually, there's a topic, a great topic, I think, because it's very recent, especially for me, and very real for me. Because we also talked a lot about being self-employed, and that there's a big difference because, like you said, I have a lot of experience in years doing music, production, recording, whatever. But the step of going full-time being self-employed is pretty recent and new to me still. So that was also a lot of discussions that we had this year, actually, because we just talked a lot about, I was asking you stuff, or you were asking me hey, how are you doing? And a lot of the how are you doing wasn't necessarily about how does your mix sound. It was more how are you doing?
How do you feel?
How do you feel? Are you healthy mentally or whatever? Are you stressed? Are there things you worry about where maybe you can help me with and all that kind of stuff?
Let's cover a few of these things. Maybe we come up with a few interesting topics that may help some viewer that wants to start out and is worrying about a few things and maybe has questions about how does that actually work? For me, it's it's almost 25 years ago, so I can't really remember exactly what were the first things. Obviously, going to the office and say, okay, here's my form. I want to be self-employed or independent. I was proud like this, walking out I'm independent. I'm my own boss.
That is a part of it.
Yeah.
I guess
it's a great feeling.
It is in a way.
And it's a worrying feeling.
It is as well, yeah. I think the interesting thing for me was there were topics that I worried about in the first place. I need money. I need work.
Yeah.
I need customers. Do I need to do some marketing? Do I have to set up an email list and all? So those are the very dry and boring things to think about. And then after months and months, I realized that there are way bigger problems that I didn't even know. And I would say that most of them had to do with mindset.
Yes.
And just realizing that, hey, I mean, how many times in life do you actually, especially when you're already grown up? I mean, as a child, everything changes all the time. You get into a new class, you have new friends, whatever. But I think the older you get, the slower paced life.
More stable, everything, yeah.
So taking that step, what I completely lost and couldn't remember how that feels. That feeling of doing something new and walking away and being okay, I think everything's fine. And then at some point you realize oh shit,
I'm a rookie.
Yes, something's wrong, but I had to push through some time to actually realize that I have problems that I couldn't anticipate. The stuff that I was panicking more about was stuff all of a sudden you feel like you have all this time to finally do the thing you love. So you say yes to absolutely everything because you feel he wants to do something, wants to record and this, and there's a band and blah. And I was just like, yeah, great. Finally, I can say yes to everything. And then half a year later, you're like, I'm screwed because I'm burned out completely
already,
because I had to realize that all these new things, that I put on my shoulders, I had to carry for half a year to then realize half of the stuff I don't really like, or it doesn't pay money, or it doesn't do that, or it doesn't make me happy, or it just stresses me out.
You were in a situation where, if I compare to when I went independent, I was, how old was I? 24 or something. Basically, the studio I was working in, the guy who was running the studio said, I'm quitting the studio. Does any one of you want to take the studio? I was like, I'm going for it. I want to do this. I have to do this. I didn't have as much experience already working as you had, so I needed to build a portfolio, but I was still learning a lot, like audio-wise, and I did like 15, 16 hour shifts every day, and I mean every day, like no weekends.
Yeah.
But you already have more stuff, so you don't necessarily need to do any job just for the sake of having a reference or something.
Yeah,
that's maybe one big difference.
It is. But also then the difference is that you probably learned very quick because you had to.
Life is full of having to learn very quickly. I remember the first gig I had alone working for my former employer at the studio was like a live recording. And I have never to that point worked with an analog console, and then I was backstage behind the scene recording a live event with 2 big analog consoles and a bunch of ADAT machines, and I had really no real clue. I was definitely underqualified for this. For example, that day I learned that by using inserts in analog boards, if you only put in the jack halfway in, that you can use the direct out of a preamp by not inserting it fully because you're only switching to the output. I will never ever forget this. It is like a little technical thing, but I learned it because it was like, how am I actually going to get a signal out of? There is no direct outs of this board. How am I going to record a multi-track? And it's like phoning around, and then it's like, did you already think about, okay, I will never ever forget this little trick.
Yeah.
If you don't have anyone who is saying, come, Marc, I take you by the hand, and now we show you if you do this and you do that, you will not remember as quickly as if you are thrown into a bucket of cold water and you really have to think quickly.
Yeah.
You will not forget whatever you fucked up that day. You will not forget whatever success you had. So this is like one small piece of 1 bazillion puzzle pieces of learning a craft completely.
Totally, yeah. When I went like full-time studio work, being a musician full-time, there wasn't like stuff where I had to learn a lot of like new audio-related stuff. I mean, we are all still learning and it never ends, but that was kind of like set in a way, because if I wouldn't have been at that point, just skill-wise, I wouldn't have made the decision. But, just like time management and finances and taxes and all that kind of stuff, it's
all
just
the good stuff.
but all of it. But the good thing is, what I realized is that it forced me to be way quicker in making decisions. In your life, there's a problem. You have 2 ways to go, and instead of spending your whole life thinking about what the best solution is, you just make a decision
and go for it.
And also just trust your intuition and being like, this just feels right. I don't have all the answers. I can't really make a pro-con list about it. I just have to go for it because there needs to be a decision now. And that's something I think that really got even better. The
thing is, you will eventually make mistakes, but how bad can it really be? Yeah. It's just a mistake. So you choose way A, the blue pill or the red pill.
Yes.
So you take the one, and then if all goes well and your guts told you the truth, then it's cool. And if it was a bad decision, well, you learned something. And then you take the next turn and you're on your path again. If you spend money on stupid things, you can still sell them. Or if you, I don't know, you accepted a job that was crap, well, you just finish it quickly and then you go back and you will have learned something for the next time. There is always something to learn, and learning by failures is These are the best lessons.
Yeah.
You should not be afraid to fail.
Just to add to that, it's not only, being brave and having a challenge and all that kind of stuff, but it's also the joy of being so innocent and not knowing. Because here's an example. When we first talked about the possibility of doing a podcast, I went home and I was like, we're starting a podcast. I was like a child. I was like, oh my God, this is the best day of my life. And also, screw it. I've never done this. Just try it. It seems fun. Let's do it.
There's not a lot to lose. We're not sitting in an airplane that's going to crash if we just suck terribly at trying to entertain or whatever.
Yeah. Maybe that's a good point to try to make sense of all of this, what we are talking about. Because it also connects to a question that we had in an earlier episode. If you want to do stuff, do stuff.
Yeah.
And then it's learning by doing, and don't let anybody tear you down. Try to communicate with people where you know that you get support. And then while doing it, just never let go of that freedom of being like, this is my thing or our thing, and we can create this. And this goes, it's the same thing as for your life decisions. You can decide and you can wake up and be like, I don't like this. I want to change this. I want to turn it a little bit and just
then turn it.
There's no point in sitting there beating your head against the wall and being like,
don't be passive. Don't let life live you. I see too many people who fail. It's a big word. They maybe they don't even realize that they fail, but they have dreams, they have wishes, they would like to do stuff, even if it's not life-changing things but they just don't do it. I have no idea why. Maybe they have the feeling that it's not within reach or it's not within their capabilities or something, but there is no shame in starting out with something and just suck at it. If I start a new sport, maybe, I don't know, if I would try and go, okay, I would love to go for boxing. I would get my ass beaten up badly at the beginning, but so what? You have to start somewhere.
Yeah.
Just go for it and learn it if you enjoy it. What's the problem? Just do it.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the classic example in my life, because everybody who knows me probably knows that I do music, and the classic sentence.
But you have talent.
Oh, that's also a good one. No, but I meant you talk to somebody or to a friend, and then at some point they're like, I would have loved to learn guitar. And I'm like,
you can still start.
Yeah.
it's okay.
It always sounds so final. Like I would have loved, and then the guy is like maybe 25, and I'm like,
okay, that's even worse.
I mean, and the thing is, even if he's 40, 50, whatever, just do it.
I've seen an online thing about a 100-year-old woman who just broke the world record for 100 meters of over 100-year-old. And she started running at 70, and now she broke the world record at 100.
There you go.
So if that's not an inspiring thing, then I don't know what an inspiring thing is. Don't be afraid to be a beginner. Yeah, and don't be afraid to fail, because you will fail, and
that's fine.
And it's fine.
Yeah.
I think most of the very successful people in business or something, they have failed miserably multiple times, but they were the ones who just got up and tried slightly differently, or just tried again. And if you keep at it, then chances are higher to succeed than if you don't continue trying, or if you don't try at all.
Yeah. We'll keep trying, having a podcast and making it fun and awesome.
Yeah, if you have any input or feedback, or would love to hear thoughts about something, let us know. Let's make this an interactive thing. I think we are ready to now switch to answer a few precise questions and see if we have something useful.
You mean for the early fans of the podcast who know how it's running?
You know who you are.
Yeah, okay.
See you in a while with a real question.
Yes. All right. Let's continue with the Q&A part of the podcast.
Q&A, yeah. I have a question that was, it's out of a conversation I had with our friend Alex Frey. He originally asked the question about, could you write how instruments sit frequency-wise and draw a picture of how instruments sit? And I already answered that it's not useful to generalize certain things. But he talked also about, but could you elaborate on how you get width in a mix?
Yeah.
What can I do to make a mix that is not like centered somehow, but that is wide and large and fills up the acoustic space that we have available?
Yeah. The very simple answer, just for like very beginner answer, would be, okay, there's panning. So maybe should cover that just just very quickly.
That's good. Let's start from the easiest.
There's just very quickly, there's stuff in the center and there's stuff on the sides, and panning means you put stuff to the sides.
There is even like could you call this a mix philosophy, which is like LCR, left, center, right? This dates to back when mixing desks didn't have a pan knob where you could like gradually put the signal like center or half left or the 25% left, but it was like it's either in the center, so on both channels, or it's on channel 1 or channel 2. So, and some mixers, maybe more old school mixers also, they still stick to this LCR technique. It's like, okay, I have a signal, I decide, is it in the center, is it left, or is it right? So this creates a more wide mix, as if you have like 20 elements and half of them are somewhere in between. So this is like, very basic thing. Then the next more obvious thing would be that you need different textures on the extreme left and right. This is maybe the biggest secret that the industry doesn't want you to know. For example, let's start with a very common basic thing is like double tracking guitars. You have like a rock band, drums and bass, and then you have rhythm guitar. And although maybe sometimes it's only just one rhythm guitar player, in a studio situation, you will double track them just to get more width and more size. So too many people, they do what?
Use the exact same guitar, amp, and cab, and mic, and everything.
Everything the same. And what then happens is...
I do sometimes.
Let's start with what you shouldn't do, and then we go with different steps to the optimal thing. So what many do is, okay, I just have one guitar and I just have one amp. So I play, the worst thing is I play one and then I put this on one side and then I just copy the track, put it on the other side.
I was about to say the same thing.
Well, you get a little bit of width if you put a delay and you have like the Haas effect that you hear the one guitar first because it's happening first, and then the more delayed comes a little bit later, and it gives you a sense of width. The problem is that it's just almost the same, and it will somehow collapse in the center. The thing is, if you have two signals that are too similar, as in too many harmonic content that is exactly the same. If you use the same guitar with the same everything, then the overtone structure is just exactly the same. And there are so many similarities that you end up with a phantom center, as you say.
It's like perceived stuff that feels like mono.
Basically, if you have a stereo system, like in left speaker, right speaker, and something is in the center, there is no speaker in the center. So how is that stuff in the center? It's basically because left and right speaker are playing back exactly the same thing. So you hear the same thing from left and right, and it appears to be in what you call the phantom center. So now if you take two guitars, and although they are different, different takes, if it's exactly the same sound, they have so many similarities that they appear in the phantom center. So you have stuff outside, but there is a lot of stuff going on in the center. This gives you a narrow image. So the remedy is?
Use different stuff. I mean, that could be different guitar, different pickup, or even better, different amp, different cab, different mic or mic position.
Or everything of dimension.
Everything. Yeah. Even just like, EQ stuff can help. So if you have So if you have the same signal path on both sides, you can create a little bit of the illusion by having like peaks in an EQ in a different range, which kind of offsets it in a way.
If you have maybe access to some saturation stuff or formant changing tools, this can be really, really helpful.
Yeah.
And better would be, although you think sometimes, there's two guitars and they are the same, sometimes you would be surprised how different they are. You have like maybe one high gain guitar, something like a rectifier sound with a active pickup with a lot of high gain stuff, and then you take something very different on the other side, a more grainy sound, like, I don't know, my old Soldano has like more grainy texture. It's like gravel instead of sand, like from the texture perspective. And then you take maybe a neck pickup instead of bridge pickup, and then maybe less treble or more treble and stuff like this. And if you compare both, they're very different. But this, if you pan those left and right, then they are here, the guitars. Sometimes they even appear as if they were outside of the speakers.
Yeah.
This is, if you have the same source where you can already create with, but there's much more than this.
Yeah. Just try to have different stuff.
Different stuff. Yeah. It's like you have the hi-hat on one side, it has like texture. So maybe if you have the idea to add a shaker or something, maybe don't first of all put it on the exact opposite side, but maybe if the shake is like very 8K-ish stuff, then you don't choose a shaker that has this same thing, but you take something darker.
Yeah.
And if it's not dark, you use saturation, as I think I already showed something like this in another video, where you can darken and beef up a sound and you just change the texture and put it on the other side.
Yeah.
It's difference creates width.
Yes.
That's maybe the most important thing. Different stuff.
That's it.
I hope that helps, Alex.
Thanks, Alex. Welcome back. We have another question. The question is from Timo Vogt.
Timo
wants to know, if you only have a limited amount of inputs, microphones, or are on low budget, what's your recommendation for recording drums?
Yeah. Limited amount. Well, worst would be you only have like one microphone. Let's start at least with stereo, 2 microphones.
Yeah.
You can get a lot of drum out of 2 microphones.
Yeah, I mean, and also that this goes hand in hand with the question we had about the minimal setup. Remember when we said you should have 2 inputs?
Yes.
That's a great example why you should have 2 inputs, because at least you can could even record drums with 2 microphones.
Yes. What would be the best setup?
I mean, if you only have 2, then there's a setup that's called Recorder Man.
Yes.
That's the name it goes by. And it basically captures the set in a nice way, because you have one mic that is placed pretty much center above the snare, pointing at the snare. Yeah. So you get like a little bit of the top view. And then the other, like if I would be the drummer, the other microphone is like behind the right shoulder, pointing like a little bit down on the set.
You get the tom and the bass drum.
Yes, get a little bit more low
and
end.
The other one gives you the snare. And although you would think that's a completely weird stereo image, because one is pointing nuts. Down, it looks completely wrong.
Yeah,
but it really works, and you get everything on it. Let's say if we can go one step further, if you have like 4 inputs, then you have 4 inputs and many little interfaces have like 4 inputs, you go with these 2 or some kind of overhead configuration, and then you support bass drum and snare. Maybe for more rocky or metal stuff, then you would love to have a little bit of direct sound. But those 2 microphones alone would work well.
Yeah. Is that maybe something we could show people?
Yeah. I think we are going to make a little setup, a real quick one, and show what the different setup. Well, let's say we can show different microphones. Let's say there are let's say 4 different kind of microphones that come into play. The most common would be you have something like an SM57, like a dynamic microphone that you could use on anything. Let's take one of these, like dynamic microphones. Very often uses like small diaphragm condensers, like those pencil microphones that have more bright and more detailed and fast sound than large studio microphones, large diaphragm condensers. And ribbon microphones are great because they sound fat for maybe some more vintage sound or something.
Yeah.
Maybe we make 4 setups in this Recorderman setup.
Yeah.
And we're going to show what it sounds like. So give us a second. We make a setup and come back.
Let's do it.
Yeah. Okay, so we set up a drum set and put microphones in this Recorderman setup, which means one is pointing directly at the snare and the other microphone is pointing over Marc's shoulder at the floor tom and bass drum. And we are only using these 2 microphones. And we put up 4 different pairs of microphones: ribbon, dynamic, small diaphragm condenser, and large diaphragm condenser, so you can listen to the different sounds that these microphones will give you. Let's dive into the first example and see what it sounds like. Okay, this was the ribbon microphone. As you can hear, it has not a lot of top end, but a lot of bottom end. So bass drum and floor tom, for example, they sound very full and thick. Now let's listen to the dynamic microphone. Okay, the dynamic microphone has a lot less bottom end than the ribbon microphone, but more presence in the upper mids, if that's what you like. Now let's check out small diaphragm condensers. Okay, here you can hear that it has like a much finer top end. It's a little bit more detailed than the previous microphones. Now let's check the large diaphragm condenser. Okay, here again we have a little bit more bottom end. That's the large capsule that's giving you more low end. And we still have a lot of defined high end. So maybe this is the better all-round microphone if you only use 2 microphones. Let's compare them side by side one more time. I play a loop, each microphone playing 1 bar so that you can hear the differences right away. Okay, not bad what you can get out of just 2 microphones if you're using them in this configuration. And it's up to you which kind of microphones you want to choose. Hope that helps. Okay, I hope this was helpful to show what a couple microphones can do on a drum kit. Now let's go to the final question.
Yeah.
Nicolas Galliot hat eine Frage.
Oh, is it in the... Wait. Question. If you had to remove all your plugins and external effects except one, which one would you keep?
So, yeah.
So a
not stock
plugin.
Stock plugin means everything that comes with the program. There's for the ones who maybe never worked with a audio program, they come now. Back in the days, there was not a lot going on. You had like 5 plugins.
Yeah.
But now you have like a crap load full of compressors, EQs, and everything you could dream of is already built in. So before you buy anything, check out the 573 tools that are already built in.
Yeah.
But let's assume that we wanted to keep one more, maybe one that does something that most stock plugins won't be able to do. Do you have something that
I didn't even think about it that way. Now it makes sense.
Yeah, well,
I was just thinking you have just one plugin. No, okay.
No, it said except
you have all the stock plugins, but now you
could still use the
extra.
built-in. Yeah, if it was just one, then it would have to be an EQ probably.
Okay, then I have to. Maybe you start.
But why would you take another super duper EQ if you have like the stock EQ? EQ, a stock compressor will do almost anything.
And probably in any DAW. I mean, that's also, by the way, a thing. I mean, you work in Pro Tools, I think, exclusively, pretty much. Yeah. And I work in Cubase and do a little bit of stuff in Logic, but
they have
either. It's fine.
Everything is there. So what? I have maybe something. Soothe.
Mm-hmm.
Soothe is a plugin that does dynamic controlling work where you have like, it's maybe like something like a dynamic EQ / multiband compressor with basically unlimited bands. I really love it. For example, if you have like a signal that is harsh, let's take a electric guitar with some fizz up here, but only sometimes when the attack is too much, then as long as since it's dynamic, it can duck down certain frequency ranges that you can define yourself in a dynamic way and with very fine controls so that you can really even out the signal. It's a game changer tool. I hate that word, but this is game changing for me because it really does something that no other tool that I know can do in that way. I think there are a couple of clones or copies like this, but the first of that kind was Soothe, I think. And it's just magic to calm down a signal or to even out something that wants to be evened out.
Yeah.
What's
good answer?
Do you have something
I'm
else?
on the fence with two things that are very different.
Oh, can I guess?
Do it.
Saturn.
No,
because saturation. Although I don't know if Pro Tools has a really good built-in saturation thing.
Yeah, I just think with saturation I could work my way around stuff probably.
You could even. I once made the video about compressors giving you a lot of harmonics. I think I will link to that video here because it's I take the opportunity to link to this because it's you can use a compressor to unleash all the harmonic goodness in a thing. But okay, I guessed wrong, so tell us.
Okay, I just have to figure out which one I'm gonna
Tell us both.
Okay, I would have maybe said Melodyne.
Oh,
because
don't you have like a built-in thing in Cubase?
But I just like Melodyne.
Melodyne is.
Because that's one path I was heading because I was thinking I could probably mix anything with stock plugins because I just thought even if I would mix like the most crushing mix and then the vocals are out of tune. That was my train of thought.
Am I allowed to insert a little anecdotic thing here?
Sure.
Back in the days before Melodyne existed, I had to tune stuff as well. You know how I did this?
Probably by some
time stretch bending.
No,
or future traveling.
offline pitch plugin. And I tuned syllab by syllab, and to not lose track of, I had like a combined metronome and signal generator where I could put an A, a G, a T, as and I listened to the thing, and I got used to it. So it's like, okay, this is 20 cent off, and I pitched it down.
Yeah.
And then it was really like syllab by syllab, and I pitched them one by one. I adjusted it by hand.
Yeah.
So this is doable. You could do it with stock.
Yes.
But on the other hand,
I don't want to do it.
Melodyne, just to come back to this width thing.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, I'm hijacking his plugin thing, but a little quick tip with Melodyne. You have access to the harmonic content and the formant structure of signals. And sometimes what I do is, if I don't have double tracks of vocals or stuff, but I desperately need some I
changed
use
the-
Melodyne and I change the formant, which is like if formant, if you put it down, it sounds like, and if you put it up, it's like, but keeping the same pitch.
Yeah.
And by changing this, you can kind of do something like it's two different persons singing.
Yeah.
So Melodyne is not just, and you can adjust timing really great. With, with
I mean,
Melodyne.
I use it on bass all the time. It's on every bass track pretty much that I get to mix just to fix timing and also tuning, because bass, I mean, guitars, fretted instruments in general are a pain in the whatever. Sometimes with tuning, and especially if it's already recorded.
fretless bass.
Yeah, but then then Melodyne is your friend.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's a good one. Yeah, it's maybe if I had to choose between Soothe and Melodyne, I would probably also pick Melodyne.
If we assume that it would something that you would have to purchase
Yeah.
as a plugin and it's not stock built in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's the other one?
The other one would have been Pro MB.
Multiband.
Yeah, but this is more like the kind of icing on the cake thing, because I don't use it in every mix and I don't need it necessarily, but I use it for many very, very different applications. A lot of sidechaining, not only the typical like whatever, getting the bass out of the way of the kick drum. I love that it also has like an expansion mode. So what I do, what my
Can gate
like my,
toms and stuff like
yeah,
that.
my favorite thing to do actually is to use it on room mics. I have Pro MB on the room mics and duck it down all the time and have it sidechain to the snare.
Yeah,
So
classic.
it just comes up on the snare, and then you can also decide which part. You don't have to use an extra EQ. You can basically shape the part of the room mic that
and you
want
can
to
leave
have.
out the attack on the room so the snare stays tight.
There's like attack and release, and you can also use it as a gate for snare or tom.
Yeah,
So
there is no good stock multi-band compressor.
I couldn't think of one in at least my DAW, so that's why I thought about it.
Okay, so Soothe, Melodyne, and Pro MB. That's it. I think we can finish now. We have been talking enough. And
Yes.
nobody is watching anymore anyway.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for watching and sending us questions. And again, just a little reminder, you can send us questions,
Yeah.
but not only questions, also just like topics. If you watched the beginning of the video, we happily would chat about anything music related or just slightly music related, music production related, because like you said in the beginning, there's so many nice analogies between life, music, work, personal lives, and it's just a good time. I had a lot of fun today, and I hope you had as well. See you in the next episode. Thanks for watching.
See
Bye-bye.
you. Vor allem.
Okay.